hang on to your seats.
Okay, you are ready to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you,
Hello,
Dan.
everybody. As you know, before we even get started, Moz has only one rule, and that is no fighting, and don't stare at any of it. And Dan, our admin, was very nice to post the rules in the chat. So please follow that, and we're going to have a fun time. So with that said, welcome to Kanata's Castle. This is the ForceFest event. We're celebrating this saga since we can't be in Anaheim. Our panel today for you is Star Wars Moms, passing on what we have learned. And as always, Red 5 Mom is standing by. Hey,
Yes.
Dev.
Hey, this is really exciting. It's kind of weird too. But anyway, we've been doing more live stuff, so we're getting our feet wet there and sort of moving out of our comfort zone more and more.
Yes. Always trying something new. At least we're trying to, because like everything else, we have to evolve, right? So, but before we even get on that, in the chat, there is a link to make a donation to Make-A-Wish. So please help out. You can definitely jump in there, click on it, and do all that great stuff. We would appreciate it. That said, while we're appreciating things, thank you to Sarah, Richard, Skywalking through Neverland, and everyone involved with ForceFest and GetVokl. All that's just awesome. Thanks for letting us be here. We appreciate it 100%. It's great to do this because we were missing our Star Wars. So good things. All right. Anything I missed there, Dev, please feel free to just jump in there and add to it.
Well, I think, well, also, you did mention about the fundraiser. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we're good. I think
we're good. Awesome. Look at that. Only 2 minutes in.
Welcome everybody in the chat. We will try and pay attention, but we're not good at multitasking. We should be. We're moms. What's wrong with us?
Well, multitasking like this and like this is two different things. Yeah. And hey, you get over here.
Electronic multitasking is not as easy as we thought.
Right. But that being said, with what Devin just said, we know we have the spots locked right now. They will open up and a little later.
I'm not loud enough. Hold on.
Okay. Yes, please.
All right. Well, I'm going to, while we're in the middle of this, let me try something. All right. How's that?
I can hear you.
Is that louder?
Peter. I hear you just fine. A bit better, but closer to mic.
Dan says it's okay. My mic?
All right.
Closer. It is close as it can get, and I can eat it now.
Well, don't do that. We don't want that. So I think we should. You ready to get started?
I'm ready to get started. Let's do this because we don't have much time. My goodness.
So let's do this. So we're talking about Star Wars moms, passing on what we have learned. So this is going to be basically about moms in Star Wars, our galaxy far, far away, and of course, moms in the real world. So this is going to basically parallel one another as much as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. To kick it off, I wanted to make sure I started off with Carrie Fisher. Of course, our general. Before The Last Jedi and before The Rise of Skywalker, she said, Star Wars, okay? It's about family, and that's what makes it so powerful. So that's going to kick us off. So Star Wars, right? It embodies hope through love, trust, forgiveness, and redemption, all of which are foundations for all families everywhere, not just a galaxy far, far away. And that alone is what makes a Star Wars so relatable. Right?
Right.
Well, moms are essential.
Right. And I really liked something you put in the notes about how not only in Star Wars, but in our everyday lives. And it's true that all heroes have mothers. I mean, you all have a mom, and so that kind of makes moms a superhero. And I just think of, and then you put down here, in the guise of a princess or a queen or a senator, or a general or a pilot, um, or a Jedi even.
A warrior, a rebel. Yes.
Yeah. So I think of after reading that, I think of Lando in a Star Wars story, and Han and Lando are talking about their dads, and they're really not happy with their dads. Um, but Lando says, "My mom is the most amazing woman I have ever met." And here's something I did not know. Okay, this is funny. I'm sorry, but I did not know his full name when I read it. Landonius Balthazar Calrissian.
Okay, now I need to meet this. Need to meet his mom. Okay,
Yeah,
come
that
on.
sounds like a guy who'd wear
Landonius?
capes.
It sounds like a Greek god. Doesn't
It
seriously.
does. I don't know. It's
I need
crazy.
to meet her. We need to
Anyway,
meet her. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Where did you get that from?
Wikipedia or not, you know where
But
I
is
always
it still
go.
considered canon?
It is.
Sorry, I had to throw
This
that
is
at you.
canon. This is canon. Now, he
Okay.
wears a ring. Um, it's an Arodium, yeah, Aurodium ring with his mother's name inscribed on it.
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
That's like
So
a
here's a
complete
boy.
parallel, though, to Poe, because Poe wears his mother's
That's
ring around his
right.
neck.
So
Ah, oh, thank you, David. Just one of the
Landonius.
admins,
Yes.
Landoni's on the way to the. Oh, did I miss that? Thank you. Okay, so there it is. It is
Awesome.
still considered canon.
Awesome.
Okay, so I want to, and I wasn't even going to go there, but since we're talking about rings and mothers, I'm going to bring in some real world stuff to it today. Behind me, because my room is not set up for Star Wars. All my Star Wars stuff is in our rec
Hmm.
room, and I'm not hooked up to do this down there. So the blanket behind me is handmade from my mother, who passed away in 2019. So mom is there. And today, this is really a coincidence. My father gave me my mother's eternity ring, which doesn't fit any of my fingers but my thumb.
Oh, how
So, and I'm
nice.
trying not to
Don't cry. Oh.
tear up right now, but I thought this is honestly the influence of this panel not only comes from what we represent at Kanata's Castle, because we are two moms talking about Star Wars, and our point of view comes through with how we talk about what's happening in the films or books or in animation or what have you. But also because of my own mom. I mean, I wouldn't be this with you today if it wasn't for her taking me to see Star Wars back in 77, 78.
Yeah, yeah.
So moms are awesome. Like you said, moms in a sense are their own superhero. None of
Yeah.
us would be here without mom.
Now, let's go back to 1977.
Yes.
And the first mother figure we see in Star Wars is Luke's Aunt Beru. Now,
Mm-mm.
I've always been, you know this, I'm just fascinated with Aunt Beru. I'm always
Her
wondering
kitchen.
what she's cooking. Right?
What is she blending? What's going in
What's she
there?
cooking in there? But mostly I've loved how she just gently reminds Owen, that Luke's destiny lies along a different path than what either of them really want for him. I mean, and it's kind of in real life, really. That's how it goes. Our babies are born and we're holding them. We're like, oh, you're going to be the president of the United States, or you're going to go to Mars, or, whatever.
No, they are from Mars.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
We always have these plans for our children, but then they grow up and that's not how it goes.
No,
So,
definitely not. And
yeah.
she really is in that scene. And I think it does get, I'm going to cry already. I can feel it just talking about moms, but, she's already at that point. And you think about it, I think that moment gets overshadowed by Luke and Owen, but she really is at that moment the voice of reason. She knows. I mean,
Yeah.
they know who he is. They know from the, I mean, Obi-Wan actually hands Luke to her, not even to Owen.
Right.
He hands Luke to Beru. And I think immediately, which would happen to any woman who wanted to adopt a child, and she was been graced with the opportunity to not just adopt, but an infant. You know what I mean?
Right.
This child's going to learn right from the get-go and not have any memory of where they came from. So it's a kind of like a fresh slate. You don't have, in a sense, the competition, right, of what came before. I'm not saying I've never been adopted, so I don't know if that's what they're feeling. But as a parent, on my end, that's how I would feel. Like I'm in competition from this person before me,
Hmm.
and what was, who was nurturing this child, and the rules and the discipline, and the caring, all that. So, and I do love. I think we should have gotten more of her. We do get little snippets of her
And the
in Attack of the Clones, but it's still, you can
right,
see
a
she's
younger
already the,
version, yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, and then there's some in the 40 Stories book.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep. There's very, very little
right.
on her, but um, and here's something we didn't know what she learned from Shmi. I mean, we don't know how long she's been engaged at the time
Hmm.
to Owen when we meet her in Attack of the Clones, because they aren't married yet. Owen does introduce her as his fiance.
Right,
You
right.
know, they're not married yet. So, but how many years on that homestead did she have with Shmi? How many months, maybe? I mean, so she probably picked up, how to take care of a household through Shmi is my thought, and I would like to have a story on that.
Yeah, I would.
That was Shmi's opportunity to have almost a daughter.
Yeah, well, and that's a
Interesting.
whole another mother talk right there, Shmi.
Sorry, whole new show. Uh,
Whole nother mother talk. But another kind of bullet point we kind of wanted to talk about was how moms in Star Wars fight for their children, and you had written here that it's a constant fire that comes from within, a need to defend and protect those they love, even if it costs their own life to do so. And immediately you think of Lyra Urso.
yes. Oh
Um,
my gosh. Yeah.
which, from the very beginning, she was trying to protect not only Galen and her daughter, all three of them. And I think, her influence on Galen to get them away from the Empire and onto that farm, that was all there. And then also I just love the her trust in the Force and her being part of that Church of the Force and instilling that into Jin, so that Jin
Yeah.
had that as part of her, what to fall back on or to trust.
Yeah, definitely she had her faith, and her faith was the Force, or the Church of the Force. She was definitely a follower of that. We learned that through Catalyst, if I believe, which is the prequel to Rogue One, a Star
Right,
Wars story
right.
written by James Luceno. Um, and that book really gives you that fire that Lyra had. She was a protective person of those she loved, and I always said that setup of Rogue One, we lose her like within the first, what, 4.5, 5 minutes.
Yeah,
But that setup comes before everything that plays up to that part to make sure Jin is safe was through
was
Lyra.
all Lyra. Yeah,
It was all Lyra. Yeah, Galen might have built the little hatch and the little hideout, but she had the connections with Saw.
that's right.
All right. She's the one who contacted Saul, like, they're coming. She knew how to access that. She knew to get him there. And at the last minute, and I can't even like fathom, again, you're talking, galactic type events. I
Yeah,
mean, we live in the real world. We're only Earth, thank goodness. We don't have all these other worlds and other things going on like that. We have enough to deal with here. Um, but she knew at the last minute she had to change her course. And she just put all of her hope into the Force and told her daughter, trust the Force,
hmm,
sent her on her way down the stairs, closed the hatch, and went after Galen. And she did her best then, because she knew her daughter was safe
right. And
waiting for Saw. She knew Saw was going to come there to that specific spot and get Jin, but she had to protect her husband.
I just,
And
yeah, she was incredibly brave because I don't see how she thought she had a chance against Death Trooper.
I think she believed that she knew
Yeah,
the only way Jin was going to get away and to keep Galen alive, because she knew at that point Galen wasn't getting away.
yeah.
She knew this, but
So
she
it was about
knew,
getting Jin safely away.
right, and
Mm,
making sure Galen still lived.
yeah.
And I think that he had to live with that as a parent. He made sure that before he died, he found a way to basically ruin the Empire, even if it was something that would never get found.
And
He was going to
nothing
do
is
whatever he could.
nothing is more of a tearjerker than that hologram from Galen to Jen every single time I watch it. I don't know about the rest of you. Look, I'm starting to choke up, and Becca is too, because I can't watch it.
Oh
I
gosh.
can't without crying every time.
No, Felicity Jones really did a tremendous
Yeah.
amount of work to get that point across. And you do lose it because I think for me, it's the moment when he mentions never seeing their mother, your
Oh,
mother again,
I
and then
know.
you, and those, because he knew everything Lyra sacrificed to get him just to
Yeah.
be safe, to get Jin just to be safe, even though technically he was alive, Galen, but was he really
But
safe? No.
just the realization on her face that all the things she thought about her father all these years were not true. I just can't imagine the emotional roller coaster she was going through at that time. That's what makes it so heartbreaking and just makes your own heartbreak for her. Yeah.
Yep. And this is something that we discuss quite a bit. So for those that are not, have never tuned into us, we talk about, the children like Jin in Star Wars that literally must be suffering from PTSD because it's rare, like rare that we get a positive childhood out of these kids being raised by their parents and their parents are happy and go lucky. Their parents are somehow slaughtered or they're not good people or they die before the kids even get to know them. So, it's these kids never have really a support structure, a positive one. Even Jin being saved by Saw. Yes, she was saved, but she was turned into a rebel. She was turned into like a terrorist rebel.
Mhm.
She was a fighter. She wasn't nurtured.
Right.
She really wasn't. She was left at 16 with a knife. And that was it. He left her.
Because he was afraid of well, I think he
People
was afraid
figuring
of who
out
she
who she
was,
was.
and I
Mm-hmm.
think that was part of saving her life. Maybe that was a plan with Lyra and Saw. But, I think that Lyra made sure that she went with Saw because she knew Saw would teach her how to defend herself and to fight and stay alive.
Exactly. And like I said, it's just sad because we only get those 5 minutes. But for those that were able to read the book prior to going in, what a role her mother played. Because in a sense, she is that unsung hero. Because had she had not done what she did, we wouldn't have the Galen story and you wouldn't have the Jin story.
No,
So
right.
her sacrifice was able to do all that. But not only that, but her sacrifice is what led to Luke
Hmm.
blowing up the
Blowing
Death
up the
Star.
Death Star. I mean, it was
It all starts with Lyra, if you backtrack it.
yep, yep.
Yep.
Well,
And hey, Eric. Eric's just joining us. Hello.
um, I thought of another mother just recently learned about a sacrifice that they made because I've been listening to the Afra audio book. I'm still not done with it, but Afra's mother's sacrifice was pretty poignant. I mean, oh, when I think of that, I mean, she was how old when she had to watch her mother die?
Was it 7 or 8?
That's
Or was she a little bit older than that?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm just wondering how much that affected her as
Oh, it did. I mean, because she mentions it in the audio drama. The way, if I don't want to say she mentions it, but the way she tells the story, like she looks at her mother as not a strong person,
that's too bad.
which which destroys me because, but again, that's her PTSD kicking in.
You're right.
That she, you know, misses her mom and wishes it didn't end that way. I mean, down deep, that has to be festering. You know what I mean? Which is why part of why I think Afra is who she is. She's on this. It has to be just her. She's going to fly solo. She doesn't really put herself out there to care about too many people, which we learn. Because yeah, she did love Sana, but how did that end up?
Yeah.
In the end, she was selfish about it, right? As
Really?
long as she could, right. So I think she's too afraid to trust, too afraid to give her heart. And I think it stems back to that incident,
Right. Right.
so, and that's sad. Again,
She is.
another child in Star
That
Wars that was robbed of a supportive, positive parental structure.
And then I really want to talk about the Adventures in Wild Space Kids, because this was one group, or one story that just kind of put me on the thought process of why are all these kids at such a young age put in these unimaginable, impossible situations without their parents, and just a droid to help them. Although they're great stories.
Now, what's wrong with droids? I'm just kidding.
I love the droids in the stories. If they didn't have them, they wouldn't. I mean, the droids saved their
Right.
lives. But these stories by Kevin Scott are so good, and I still have to talk to him and ask him this question. You know, what were you thinking? But we follow Milo and Lena Graff. Their parents are literally kidnapped by the Empire, right? And
Mm.
the story is, they're only 7 and 8 years old, or around 7 or 8 years old. So here's another, you know, that seems like such a hard age to be.
They're even younger than Anakin when he gets pulled away
Hard age,
to join that. Yeah.
and there's gun battles, and really unbelievable stuff that kids today couldn't go through. You know,
So these kids are using
yeah,
blasters. Don't tell me that.
I don't know if they're using. I can't remember that part. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've read these.
Okay, see, I want to know this now because
Yeah.
like look at my eyes, like what?
Well,
I mean, I know it's not real world. It's
you don't know.
it's war in the stars. You know what I mean? So it's not real.
I love their droid
But
trader. He takes care of them. But it's just crazy that we get a lot of these. And now another one is Snap Wexley. He's
love it.
raised by his aunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Nora's off fighting the
His two
rebellion.
aunts, isn't it?
You're right. It was two. But here's another one that gets a droid to replace his mom. Basically, Mr. Bones is the.
Love Mr.
Bones!
Bones. Sorry, Mr. Bones. Love.
I committed murder. Was it murder that he said?
Sorry. Oh, that's
Violence.
awesome.
That's right. I committed
Violence. It is violence. Yes. Oh, Mr. Bones. But no, yeah, definitely Nora Wexley, her coming back into the fold, I think when Snap was what, 15?
Yeah. So he was without her for quite some time, and he resented her at first for that.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Because like someone else we knew, she went to fight for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
At that time. And the reason she tries to, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but I remember her sitting down in the book in Aftermath and talking to him about this. And she's like, but fighting the cause was to help you. It's to help your father. It's to help everybody. If I can help bring peace back,
Right.
then I can have us back. So she was doing it for the greater good. She was being selfless. And yeah, maybe that's something you should think about before you have children. I understand that whole concept, but again, we're not living in that world, right?
No.
Thank goodness, because it seems like they're in constant war, and it's either you decide to act to bring forth change, or you just sit there and let the change happen to you. So I get what she's trying to do, but trying to explain that to a 15-year-old,
No.
they just see it as, no, you up and you left me.
Right.
I
And
mean,
I think that, when you want to compare it to a real world situation, you have mothers and fathers that go off to the military all the time,
yes,
and you're without them for, months or years at a
long
time.
periods.
And I think some kids probably do resent that. And it's probably not until later that they, realize the sacrifice that their parents made, for their country and ultimately for their freedom, you know?
Absolutely. No. I know you mentioned, but that's funny. What kind of parents and life did DJ have that gave him the cynical attitude of don't join? And like Beckett, the whole assume everyone will betray you and you will never be disappointed. I'm going to go out on a limb and say neither one of them probably had parental upbringing. I'm going to probably say they were probably, hate to say it, orphaned at an early age, and that starts there.
Mm.
I'm going to go with that. I could be wrong, or in their opinion, like we know from Solo, a Star Wars story, like that conversation going back or dovetailing back to the start of the show when you were saying how Lando and Han were talking about family,
Mm-hmm.
and Han didn't have anything really positive to say about his mother or that much positive things to say about his father.
Well, didn't his mother
So,
died? Yeah, and then his
right. And he didn't have anything really good to say about either, though, like even his relationship with his
yeah,
dad.
yeah,
So somewhere something,
right.
didn't
Just
work. There was a miscommunication between child and
right.
parent.
Well, and he was at an age where that, yeah, he's not gonna understand really when you think about it. He's still pretty young in Solo when you think about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, what is he like? I think what he starts off at what, 18, 20, somewhere between
Yeah.
there,
So
Han? So we don't really know
he's
that
been on his
story.
own for a while, even then.
Right. Well, yeah, they've been with Proxima, I mean, in the beginning,
That's
I can't
a
even
good
imagine.
mother.
And that's a story to know. That's one mother there that we need to know more about, right? If you want to call her that.
Ooh.
Also, we'd like to know about Kira. I mean, how did she, what's the silo? How did she end up in the silo? Where was her family? Because Proxima said, we saved you from the silo.
Yeah.
And hey, Sharon, Sharon is going back on the Nora, saying that it's sad to think that Nora and Wedge don't seem to know of Snap's death
Right.
in The Rise of
Read
Skywalker.
something in a book or a comic of that because yeah, that was tough because Wedge is helping. He was in the Falcon with Lando, right? I thought he wasn't he?
Who, Wedge? No, Wedge was in his own
Own
ship. He
ship.
shows
I
up.
thought he was in the
He shows up because if you remember, you read Resistance Reborn, the prequel
yeah.
to The Rise of
I
Skywalker,
did.
correct? Because Snap does go to them and he tries to, recruit them to the
Right.
Resistance, and neither one really want to
Yeah, they didn't want to go
partake.
back, but
Right, but I'm assuming if Wedge is in the air, I'm assuming Nora
or
was in
was
the air
too.
too,
Yeah.
and I'm
That's right.
hoping.
See, Roll Farm Boys.
Oh,
I
he
thought
was.
he was.
Are you
I'm like
serious?
Neener.
I need to watch Solo again now. I need to do my homework. Go ahead, take my fandom card away. Take it
It's
away.
okay. It's okay.
It's okay. I can't know everything, guys. There's too much Star
I
Wars. It
know.
was much easier when there's only 6
No,
movies and one animated series. This is just too much
why?
now.
Well, we always talk about how our brains are very leaky. So people in the chat always steer us in the right direction.
Yes, right. Thank you. He's got me. See, someone's got my back. I love it. But let's put a positive spin on
Mm.
things. We do know, and it's those of you that didn't read the series of, oh gosh, what is it? I have it right here. Hang on. I did bring it with me. The Flight of the Falcon series. Anyone read this?
Yeah.
We do know of one very positive support structure of parents, and that is in Lando's Luck by Justina Ireland, who someday I hope to sit down and talk to because she's just awesome. She wrote about Renata Gan, who is a princess, and her mother, Queen. I'm going to slaughter this name. I apologize.
For Cynthia.
Forsythia Jim.
Yeah.
So, okay. So this is a great story. If you guys haven't read it, I recommend it. It's fun. It'll go fast. Yes, Eric, it is a great book. So we do get to see positive mother and daughter scenario.
Yeah.
And it's great because we don't get a lot of that. Mom is still alive. Daughter is next in line to run things, which is great. And even though daughter runs off with Lando to do some things she shouldn't do, mom does forgive. It doesn't go off easily, but she does have that positive support structure and does carry her daughter under her wing. And it was great to see. It's fresh because in Star Wars, where else do we see that?
Not very often. There's always a someone also in the chat mentioned the Dozas. The Doza family.
Yes, very. So, if those of you who haven't tuned in or never watched that, I think it's only a 2 season Star Wars Resistance. You do get the Doza family, and yes, that's a nice positive one that we get on screen,
Now, the moms are
which is
gone
great. But
for
again,
quite a bit of it, but we know she.
her mom is very much like
Yeah,
Nora.
very
If you
much.
look at
Yeah.
it, very similar situation. Only, Tora is not left with her aunt. She's actually with her father. And they do butt heads time to time, but you could feel the love. There is a really strong family connection there. And no matter how long Tora's mom is gone for, they welcome her back with open arms, almost like time never really left them. And that's, again, something nice to see. And I'm glad that they did that because, again, me personally feel Star Wars is lacking that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Where is our time at, Dan? I can't see how long we've been doing this.
What is it?
I just wondered how it would, I just want to know what time it was. Okay, it's 3:30. Okay.
It is
Okay,
3:31.
we're good. We're
You are
good.
good.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Dan. 30 minutes. Yes. And they want to let us know that Miss Sharon has said Tora Doza seems to have the more positive experience of her mom fighting for the
Yeah.
resistance. And yes, she does. I think she kind of wants to,
Well, yeah, I think
kind
that
of
she's
be
sort
like
of,
mom.
yeah, because she is a pilot, so she kind of understands
Mm-hmm.
how that feels. Um,
Right.
so there isn't as much of a resentment as maybe from Snap until Snap probably didn't understand how his mom
Well,
felt
think
until
about though,
he
he was
became one.
left,
True. Well,
you
so
know,
was Tora.
you have to put yourself in his
Yeah,
shoes. He was left. Tora really wasn't left. She was with her dad. She
true.
still was with half of her family unit.
Just the ants weren't good enough.
Hello, Dan at Coffee with
Hello,
Kenobi.
Dan. Welcome.
Hello there. Nice of you to join us. I would offer you a cup of coffee, but all I have is water. But I do have the child. He says hello. Um, sorry. Um, so yeah, Tora definitely more of a positive, relationship there. Because again, we don't see that much. I'm hoping that we're starting to get positive experience with the
Oh,
child.
okay.
And Mando Daddy, which that's something I'm just going to throw out here now. Since we're talking of, you know, families, specifically moms, even though Mando is a man,
Still
he has to play the
parents.
role of both,
Yeah.
correct? Or we can call Kara
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
right?
She's kind
Kara's kind of still in the picture, but at the end, she's not. It's just Mando and the child. So here's my question to you, because this is one of those things out there. Do you think they're going to follow a parental theme going forward, or do you think he's actually going to return the child and just go strictly the Mando series on just the
but didn't
Mando?
he accept him into his clan? So doesn't that make him a member
Mm-hmm.
of his
They are the
family?
clan of two.
So
I would like to think
so
so.
I my understanding is that he is not planning on returning him to anywhere.
Thanks, Annie. Thinks they're going to go the parent route. I'm hoping so, because I am not going to lie to anybody. I think the acting is great. I mean, let's be honest. They're up for what? I don't even know if they did the Emmys yet, but they're up for the drama nomination. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm tuning in
Oh
for the
yeah,
baby. I'm
that
not
whole
going to
relationship.
lie. I love that
I'm
kid.
it
And
is.
I think it's the parent in me. So no one better harm that kid. That's all I'm
It's
going to say.
it's very reminiscent of a Japanese movie. I think with a samurai and I don't know. It's something wolf. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe somebody in the chat knows about it.
Lone
That's
Wolf and the Cub. Thank you, Eric and
yeah.
Dan.
So
Yeah.
it is a Lucas, based type.
And it's no coincidence that Dave Filoni
No.
likes, wolves or anything.
So
Just throwing it out there.
let's change gears a little bit here and talk about
Sure.
approaching Star Wars through our motherly lenses. Becca and I try to apply a lot of our discussions from that. So for most of us, mom is our first teacher, our first nurse, our first friend, and our first fierce protector. And those experiences help to form and shape our ideas as we grow into adulthood. And I think that not just in a galaxy far, far away, and in the real world. And one thing that I thought of is that we find ourselves wanting to protect Ray. Becca and I fiercely wanted to protect
Oh,
Ray,
she's going to go
especially
there.
in the
Sorry.
Last Jedi trailer, when Kylo Ren's like, reaching his hand out, and Becca and I are like, "Don't you touch that! Don't you touch that!" We were like,
It's very
yeah, we
hard
were
for
literally
me.
breaking through the
Yeah,
flesh.
it's nail biting. Um, you know, and I will say this, and those of you that follow me on Twitter, I do post my child, my oldest child, Andriana, and to me, she really has features that resemble Daisy Ridley. So it's very hard for me when I see this girl on screen and I see what's going on that the mother in me
Yeah,
overtakes. And I mean, I do. I was just very ever since that moment in The Force Awakens when he brings her in and she's strapped down and he just goes into her mind. And I cried through that scene because the whole time I'm like, she's just a kid. What are you doing? And the whole mom in me just wanted to go in there and, teach him a
smack
lesson.
him.
You just don't. I'm trying to be really polite about this. I wanted to teach him a lesson. I was really upset. And then the hand part in The Last Jedi, and I'm like, don't go there, honey. I know he's good looking. He's got great hair. I get it. He's got a nice voice. No, and it's the mother in you. You just want
Yeah,
to hold her back. And I think that being said, I'm just going to go there now. I think that's really the reason why she was able to overcome what she had to because she had Leia for a
yeah,
year. I still say, had she had Leia for longer than that, which I'm sure she does, if we want to think of the story still going on, I think she can definitely commune with her through the Force. I think that relationship is what geared her and got her ready to do what she had to face. Leia was the right teacher to me for her. I'm not downplaying Luke as who he is and as a Jedi Master. I'm not downplaying Han, but I think that moral compass of always doing the next right thing
yeah,
really helped with Rey to overcome what she needed to. She was able to keep that emotion in check. We know that the Skywalker men had a very difficult
yeah.
time with that, and I think that's why I'm so geared more so now towards like Leia, is because her entire evolution from this, snarky, tough, crack shot, you know, princess to where she ends up is almost like a walk in life that you and I had to walk in a real world sense. I mean, we were never a princess or in a galactic war of any kind, but you start off as this, kid and you get a little snarky at times and you shoot off at the mouth, but then you start having kids and you start raising them and then you see them grow and you let their wings go and you let your birdies leave the nest. It's quite the, I don't know, evolution, I guess is
It
what you would
is.
call it. It's quite the growth, and I think Ray is lucky to have had
Yeah,
Leia help her to be ready to do what she had to do. I don't think she would have been able to face Palpatine without Leia's training. So,
well, yeah,
and
without Leia's
because she did
training
look
and
at,
all the other Jedi behind her in that final part. It's crazy. I'm thinking too,
it is,
when we're talking about looking at Star Wars through mother's lenses. Um, when I was 16, of course, this is the first time I saw Star Wars, and so I'm falling in love with Luke Skywalker as he's looking at the twin suns. But now 40 what years later, it's more than 40, isn't it now? I don't want to say.
like,
Anyway,
what, about
yeah, right.
43 years since A
Hmm.
New Hope? Yeah,
That I look at that scene differently now. And it's sort of a factor of knowing how it ends for Luke that makes it bittersweet in a way. Um, but looking at it from a mother's perspective, I side with Aunt Beru. As painful as it is for her to say, you need to let him go. Um, that's really a hard thing for all mothers, is letting our children leave the nest, like you were saying before. Um, it
Mm-hmm.
really is one of the hardest things we have to do.
You have to let them make their own choices, let them make their mistakes. That's the only way they're going to grow. It's the only way that they're going to learn. And it's painful to sit back on the sidelines and just
Hmm.
watch. Can't Speaking of sitting on the sidelines, I can't tell you how many times as a mom I watched my daughter play softball, my middle child for like 13 years play softball, and the injuries and just sitting there and you
Can't do
can't get
anything.
up
Nope.
and run out there. You can't do anything. And then with my son, his senior year, I mean, he broke his arm. Then when he was allowed to go back in, he broke his finger on his other hand. And it was like, you can't do anything. And you gotta kind of have to let them just grow. And it's a
Yeah.
very hard thing to do. And now I understand how it was for my mother. I remember, true story, her walking in to see me because I was begging for her when I was giving birth to my Andriana 23 years ago. It will be in September. And I was in the fetal position, hunched over and screaming. And she's like, I can't stay. She had to leave because she couldn't stand to see me
Oh,
like that. And she knew she couldn't do
yeah.
anything. It really hurt her to watch me in so much pain. And sometimes you just have to walk away, and she knew I'd be fine. I had doctors on hand. I had nurses on hand,
Right. Right.
but she knew there was nothing she could do or say to take that
Yeah.
pain away. So, and yeah, I mean, something I was talking to you off air, for those of you that have not read Star Wars, Clone Wars, Stories of the Light and Dark, there is a story in there read by Kat Tabor. Definitely do the audio version if you can, to listen to all the fantastic actors from the Clone Wars
Hmm.
read the stories. Um, there's a line at her story, not hers as a Kat Tabor, but the Padme story, where and I'm paraphrasing, um, where she talks about not hating the dark, but loving it, nurturing it, and hopefully the light will
Hmm.
shine through.
That's very
And of course, I'm
metaphysical.
paraphrasing, those aren't
Yeah.
the exact words,
Love it.
but
Yeah.
there you go. I mean, and that to me is exactly what Padme was trying to do in Revenge of the
That's
Sith
what
at the end there on Mustafar. It's
what
exactly what
Ray
Leia
was
did
trying
with
to
her
do
son
at the with Palpatine too.
at
All
the
of
end.
it.
Yes, all you want me to
Hmm.
do is hate, and I won't.
Yeah. No, Karen in the chat
And
said something
that's it.
that's really great. Sometimes if you hang on too tightly, it backfires on you and pushes them further into danger. And I often think about that with Luke. If they had made him stay, he would have joined the Empire. That's where he was going, to the academy.
Yes.
If all
Yeah, he would have been
uh-huh,
on that
that's where he
side.
would have gone. And so ah so yeah, he needed his aunt to step up there and say something in his defense. Go
Go
Baru.
Baru. Sorry. Go Baru. No, see, we need some more of stuff like that. I think it's definitely lacking. Like I said, there's more negative than there is positive of family parental structures. I mean, but there's also families that aren't by
Oh,
blood. We
yes.
have the Ghost Crew, and Hera is just fantastic with basically keeping everyone all in check. She is their mother in her own way. She loves every one of them unconditionally,
Hmm.
and yes, exactly, Karen. Karen is the best mom. I will definitely say that. So that's a question too, is where's Jason? We know in Alphabet Squadron, which is
Yeah.
after the events of Return of the Jedi, and she's leading. She is much in those novels. She is much
Oh,
the
yeah.
Leia. She's leading these pilots and these soldiers into battle and that, and yet we don't hear anything about Jason. So for those out there that have questions about Leia's parenting, which I do not, because I am a full-time mom and I'm a full-time worker too. So I have to do both if I want to keep food on the table and keep the lights on. So that being said, Hera is still working
Yeah.
full-time
She's a general,
and she has a child.
right?
So
in Alphabet Squadron.
She
She's a
is.
general.
She's a
I
general
mean,
of the
yeah.
of
I
the New
mean, we
Republic.
hear
Yeah.
her in hear her name in Rogue One, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, where is Jason, by the way? Let's find that out someday, right? So yeah, and Leia's, you know, a leader of the resistance, a former royalty. I mean, these aren't real world situations, obviously, but we do have
Right.
mothers in this world who have those roles. So are they bad mothers? How can we say that? I mean, they're mothers.
They're trying to make what we live in a
Yeah.
better place.
So it does
You
sometimes
know, I
bother me when
mean,
people say that Leia was a bad mother because I can't I can't I can't believe that.
I don't believe that. I mean, if you go back to the start of where she, of where she comes from, or like first seeing her in A New Hope, and she loses her
Yeah.
entire world. And like what? An hour later, this boy that she meets, she's comforted him from losing a man he met a few days ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, she's very selfless. I
Up
can't
until the
imagine.
very
Thanks,
end
Dan. 15 minutes.
because she was holding on just to get Kylo, even though Luke kept asking, come on, it's time to come home. She was
Yeah.
waiting for her son. Ah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Dan said we have 15
It's
minutes.
very, very touching.
Um,
So at this time, do you want to open up the
we
chat, let
can,
people grab
we
some
can, but
spots
let's
and talk if they have anything they want to add
we
or
can do that, and also we have just one bullet point we can talk about too, if you want to, the lessons that we use in real life, which is really not very many, but we
I'm
probably,
sure there's a
but
lot
we
more
just,
than what we have
well, I
here.
mean, one of the ones we use all the time is your focus determines your reality, by Qui-Gon.
Yes.
They apply to real life always because especially when my kids feel like life is treating them unfairly. Nobody likes me. I can't do it. So, I use this line to redirect their thinking, their focus always.
Right.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Hi,
Are
Karen.
we in?
Thanks
Oh,
so much for
Yay.
joining
happy to
us.
see you all. So
Yeah.
Aw.
I just was hopping on to say hi, and
Uh,
I'm sorry I joined late. I just thought one of the things
No,
that
you're
I find
fine.
with my kids and Star Wars, and I think you all have shared this too with your kids, I find that because of the generational difference, they enjoy different aspects. Like my son in particular is just
Oh, yeah.
loves Clone Wars, and I like Clone Wars too, but really he's the one that pulled me into
Yes.
Clone Wars. And I can't wait for us to read together the new Clone Wars book, because I was, of course, an original trilogy baby, and so it's just been fun to see it through their eyes. So
Oh, yeah, definitely.
mhm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Devin and I can both relate to that because our sons are a year apart. Mine's
Yeah.
18. Yours is
Yeah.
17, correct, Devin? Mike is 17. So they
Mhm.
both
That's
grew
their
up with the
thing.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That was
Mhm.
their Star Wars. So totally can relate to that. And it's an awesome place for them to start to really, because now what the Clone Wars is, it connects so much more now to the greater whole of what the saga is. So it's interesting because I'm sure that you learn it too. They're
Yes.
Oh,
teaching
yeah.
us things now. And that like
Mhm.
blows my mind. It's like, okay, this is cool. So I think in a way that helps us too. So we can teach them, but in the same time, they're
Right.
teaching us to be better too. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think Star Wars is good I think it was meant for that. It's very family centric. And I think that definitely helps us all to be better. Now, like Dev and I say, if we can just put that into real world use, maybe
Right.
it all
Right.
can
Well,
be
that was our
better,
hope. So
right?
when we watched as a family the last part, the very end of the 4-part Clone Wars conclusion, and we talked to our kids about
Mm-hmm.
war, and that my son plays video games, and there's violence as part of that, but that war is a real thing and that people really suffer. And I think it drove home for all of us seeing those soldiers' helmets at the end. I mean, like we were all in tears because of the loss and the sadness of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that for my kids that they remember that about war, that it's not just a glamorous thing, that there's real tragedy and loss. And so was powerful.
Absolutely. Very powerful, like a very empty feeling you get from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sad, like really war. I think Yoda says it in the Clone Wars book, was that there really is no winner.
Right.
No one wins a war. There, you know what I mean? It's not how you solve things. And that's, I think, part of the lesson with Star Wars too, is that what they're trying to do or what they're doing with the war isn't helping. It's prolonging everything, and it's just taking away innocent lives. And I think that's why when you look back at the political part of it all, not that I want to go there, but when you look at Padme and what she tries to do in the Senate, especially when you get those new books from E.K. Johnson, you see that she is trying to find a way to work on both sides, in a sense, to find peace without going to war. In fact, if memory serves, going into Attack of the Clones, she wants to vote against it. She wants to move against the war, but yet it ends up falling into it anyway. So yeah, war, you're right. It's not a glamorous thing. There's nothing glamorous about it. Sad. It's just devastation.
Such a stressful situation
Really sad.
for so many stories. And this is one of the things that I just want to protect all these kids. I just want to bring them home and make them a PB&J and let them take a nap.
PB&J took a nap. I love it. Exactly, right? You just want to hug them all. And, speaking of that, I think that's why I really do love the ending of The Rise of Skywalker. And I'm talking about the hug before Rey goes to Tatooine. The hug between Poe, Finn, and Rey. As a mom, I just want to be there too, and just kind of, because they're just a bunch of kids, I mean,
through a lot together.
And what they just went through, it's so traumatic. Crazy. Oh, Dan wants some PB&J.
I'll make
next time, one, next Dan. Celebration. It's on us.
I want to take a nap too.
Untoasted white bread. Okay, Eric.
We got it. Yeah.
We got it. It's on us.
Oh, no crust. Awesome. I have to cut the crust off.
Quickly. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. My son was so against the crust. You gotta get rid of the crust.
Dan always wants to.
Absolutely.
Me too. Does anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah,
jump in. We've got. Now's the time.
Now's the time.
If you have.
I'll eat whatever mom makes.
Good job.
That's the right answer. That's bonus points.
Cooks, though,
right there. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. I want to thank everybody for joining us, interacting with us. This has been a lot of fun. You made us feel right at home. So thank you. And it also makes us feel like we're really at Celebration.
All
so
the people in the chat,
this was great.
That it's really fun to have you all there. I'm really enjoying it. Oh, does anybody want to jump
Absolutely.
in? The slots are open. Now.
This is a time. We got 7 minutes.
Hello.
All right. Kareem. Hey, Kareem.
Hey, yeah, Kareem, right? Awesome.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here
see you.
I love the energy in this panel. Oh my gosh, that was so great.
Oh,
talking about that with Poe and Rey and Finn. Yeah, that was really special. I just wanted to come and say thank you face to face, and it does feel like we're at a convention. So that's.
Thank you.
Aww. Thank you. Thank you for saying thank you. That means a lot to us. Yeah. Like I said, we're just moms hanging out, talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, nice to hear. Yeah, I had a really close, one of my earliest memories of Star Wars fandom is with my mom. Because I was asking her how to say "May the Force be with you" in my language, in Dutch that I was speaking. And then she explained, and it's Ya Ali Madad, which is Arabic. And it means, literally, it's how we say hello and goodbye to each other, but it literally means, may the superpower be with you. May the high power be with you. And
that's wonderful.
My mind.
Oh, I love it.
I love that.
And I'm sure my mom decided to sort of use my Star Wars love and passion to sort of get me back into my culture and my faith, but it really was a perfect blend. So that's like my earliest memory of why I'm so obsessed with Star Wars is from my mom, because she connected it to something bigger.
Yeah, and you're fine. Yeah, that's a very
That's
common
awesome.
story for a lot of us. Yeah,
So
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah,
And I relate
you're
to that
welcome.
very, very, very well because that's how I got into Star Wars. So, like, yeah, we're kindred spirits here. This is really touching to me. Like I said, the blanket, but that's my mom.
Incredible.
She did that. Yeah, yeah. My mom just, I know they're amazing. I mean, you only get one, and that's what she would always tell me. You only get one mom and one dad in this world, so make the most of it. And yeah, moms are special. I will definitely say that. And the relationship between a mom and a son, I only have the one son. So, and he's my baby. I don't care if he's 6'3". He's my baby. So absolutely. This is awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. And if you don't mind, if you have access to Twitter, find us on Twitter.
Sure.
And if you could write that out in a tweet and tag us,
Sure.
I would
Can
love
you throw
it.
your Twitter
Thank you
handle
so
in
much.
the chat?
It's at Read by Mom, but yeah, I think I can.
What is it?
Yeah.
No, not. I'm giving you mine. I'm not. Hold on.
Hang on.
Oh, that's right. It's Castle. You got it,
Kanata.
Because I can't reach my keyboard. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Can I get it in there?
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Awesome.
At Castle Kanata.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
That's us on Twitter.
Thank you, Kareem. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I enjoy that. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Awesome.
What we have? What are we, Dan? What's our?
Anybody?
We got
4 minutes, hon. 4 minutes. I'm
not.
watching the time.
I'm having a hard time.
Also, our wonderful admins in the chat have put in the Make-A-Wish link.
That.
So please, if you can give a little bit, anything, that'd be great. Please do that. Yeah, there it is. Thank you very much, Dan.
Oh, Karen.
That's awesome.
Karen,
again, I just...
things. What are they called? eCoin. Yeah.
Oh, is that
that's
for...
what's going to Make-A-Wish. So awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's awesome.
eCoin,
oh, gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that just really touched my heart with Kareem. I really want to get that out so you and I can practice that.
I want to say it differently. Yeah.
If anyone out there is Polish, I would have loved, I never thought of asking my mother that. Yeah, I want to know how to say that in Polish.
Another language that can say
may the force be with you.
Another language?
Yeah, another language. That'd be great.
We want to learn how to say it.
I'm all about it. Right? And then we can use a different one each time at the ending of our show. I'd love that.
If anybody's going to jump
I think it's great.
We can have a look at our outro stuff, but I really want to give another huge shout out to Skywalking Through Neverland and Sarah and Richard and the whole planning team for this ForceFest, celebrating the saga. It's been a lot of fun. I've been to a few panels and getting to do this ourselves. And then, of course, Becca's in another hour? When do you do your...
4:45 Eastern, 1:45 PT with character crossovers with Vi Marati.
For Target Stop Shelf.
Yeah. Storybook to theme park for Target Stop Shelf. Yes. With Mark Suter. So we'll be on talking about that. Lots of awesome character crossovers.
And of course, Kanata's Castle and Target Stop Shelf are part of the Pitiful Little Band network on, and we're on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. And you can email us at kanatascastlefeedback@gmail.com. Of course, we're on Twitter at Castle Kanata. You saw that in the chat. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Kanata's Castle. And of course, listen to us wherever you catch your pod. Sometimes we do live as well. So you can check for that. We have a YouTube channel for the Pitiful Little Band, and that's where you'll find the live streams, the past live streams. You can watch them there. We are also still doing a fundraiser just for Kanata's Castle with Crowdwise and the Starlight Foundation, where we're raising money for Brave Gowns and fun centers. And we also selfishly have a tip jar on the bar because we're in Kanata's Castle and we have a bar that we work at. And there's a tip jar there. So if you want to find the link, it's usually in our show notes to give a tip to Becca and myself if you feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah, because we make a mean peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Awesome. Mwah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been fantastic. Dan, our admin, thumbs up. You know, Fuzzy Tauntaun is on us if we ever get to see you at Galaxy's Edge. Thank you very much. All right, everyone else, enjoy ForceFest, and may the Force be with you. There it is. May the ForceFest be with you.
All right, Dan, I guess
bye.
you stop the thing, or do I?